Definitely.
Now he's showing off.
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year. Usher in 2025 with an insane week 18 slate. What more could we ask for? And hey, don't blame us for being late. Blame Josh Engelman, huh? Which I don't really blame the guy. Let me fix this. I don't blame him. You got basketball today, New Year's Day. And I've returned the favor many times in the past. But anyway, happy to have you guys with us. It's the single lineup sim lineup building show, a little tournament strategy mixed in along the way. And, you know, if you didn't watch yesterday, or even if you did, I'll kind of get you set up to understand, both of us can, some of these playoff situations going into week 18. Because that's one of the things we've got going on for today. Greg Ehrenberg, what's up, brother?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting slate. We're going to do the best that we can with the information we have at hand. But I mean, if we're being honest, looking at this, we're making educated guesses. This is very unlikely to be the final players that Loughran and I end up rostering come Sunday. But most importantly, it's kind of fun to look at some of the initial projections we put up on the site and then try to make some, best guesses about which games are going to matter, which teams are going to be playing guys, which teams are going to be sitting guys, and what that's going to mean for our DFS lineups.
If you don't mind, take a single second this atone for your sins to start the new year. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's free, and leave a comment down below. You ever want to listen in podcast form, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever it may be, it's out there. And we got you covered anywhere you want to be. So, okay, here's the thing. There are a few teams I think you just write off. Now, I've said this. I know the projections will say another thing right now. I mentioned it to Ben yesterday. If there was ever a slate, Greg, where I would actually, if there were ever a slate where, you could do the trust the projections, trust the sims, and in many cases, sure, throughout the season, all year, no doubt about it, almost every sport. But if there were ever a slate where I'm very much willing to make not wholesale adjustments, but a lot of adjustments, this is one of those slates, because a lot of these games are preseason style. So if you're looking at it and you're seeing Kenny Gainwell and you're seeing like Ray Davis and stuff like that, it might be the case, but it's also entirely possible that it ends up being Will Shipley, assuming he gets out of the concussion protocol, and another, and not Ray Davis, who's actually involved in their offense. It could be Ray Davis for sure. And that game's basically a preseason game because I don't expect Drake May to play. You're probably getting Joe Milton. So that's all I would caution, is that when you're looking at these games, keep that in mind. Certain teams are going to do things that you don't expect. They might just feed one running back all of the work with their starters not playing. Or it might be the third string running back and not the backup. There's only so much that, unless we get word later in the week, which is possible, but there's only so much that you can really kind of accurately project on a slate like this.
Yeah, and especially on a Wednesday. So even if it was Sunday and it's 30 minutes before the game starts, we've got a lot of reports on what teams are going to be doing by sitting or starting players. It's still kind of hard on Sunday, but on Wednesday it becomes even more difficult, but it's kind of part of the fun at the same time.
I'm actually excited about this slate. I like trying to navigate all this nonsense. I'm also a big fan of preseason. So, some of these are going to be like that. But, Greg, the difference between this and the preseason is that you have some games that are preseason style. You have some games that are like full out playoff. I had mentioned this to my neighbor came over last night for a couple drinks for New Year's. I was asleep long before the ball dropped. I think I was out by 11 or something, but I was talking to him. I was like, listen, I got to work tomorrow and I got to do a betting video for every game. And it's not what you think. I was like, it's a combination of preseason games, preseason teams versus non-preseason teams. So that's the second iteration, right? Like Bills Patriots is probably a preseason game. And then Broncos Chiefs is a team that desperately needs to win versus a team that has the 1 seed locked up. So it's like starters versus non-starters. And then you have two other versions. You have two teams that have nothing to play for, where they're going to play their starters, but they have nothing to play for. And then the fourth one is a legitimate playoff game, right? Like it might not technically be the postseason, but there are legit games that are like true flat out playoff implications. So you really have, if you were to boil it down, the way I see it at least, is four styles of games on a slate like this. And there's really only one game that has true playoff implications for both teams, and that's Sunday night between the Vikings and Lions. I don't think we have another game where both teams participating have playoff implications.
No, but it's kind of funny, like you said, some of the teams that are going to be playing, I don't want to say the hardest, because all the players on the field are going to be playing to the best of their ability. It's just,
for sure,
are these the best players on the team? So the teams that are going to be most trying to win, some of it is the teams that have just been really crappy all year. And this is a spot where they have young guys who are, trying to hold on to roster spots, or you get some of these spots as well where, teams, it's just like the Raiders, for instance. Like, I don't presume that Brock Bowers is not going to play or something like that.
Exactly.
There's situations like that where, if the Raiders were going to sit guys in week 18, they might as well have sat them in week 11 at this point.
Yep. And forget about tanking. Look at it as the personnel that they're putting on the field. I think that's what you're saying, right? Like if the personnel they put on the field is not good, those guys are still going to win, but you're tanking by way of not playing the guys that could help you win the game. It's that simple. Like if Mac Jones and Brian Thomas are out there and Travis Etienne is out, they're playing to win the game. So forget about seeding, forget about draft picks and all of that. There is one other game that has playoff implications for both teams, but that's Saturday, right? That's Bengals Steelers. That's a fun one too, because if the Steelers will already know if the Ravens won or not by the time that game starts. And the Ravens, look, call me a skeptic, but I don't think the Ravens are losing to the Browns. They're 18-point favorites. But if the Steelers win, even if the Ravens win, the Steelers get to face the Texans, who are limping into the postseason. If they lose and the Chargers win, Steelers have to go to Baltimore. So just a lot of really fun situations shaping up. Oh, and an apology would be welcome to kick off the new year. Guess who's eliminated from the postseason before the game even starts on Sunday?
The New Orleans Saints.
Shut up, man. The Seattle Seahawks. Isn't that odd?
That's true. The Seahawks also, it ended up being a pretty competitive game between the Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And it was definitely one. I thought the Cardinals were going to win at one point, and that didn't end up being the case. It would have been fun if I really wanted the Cardinals to win, other than just for some of my futures rooting interest, but also because it would have set up another meaningful game for this week. But yeah, that the Seahawks game did not end up mattering at all.
Not at all. I mean, that Thursday game was disgusting, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot of weird football games over the course of the last week. Just we're at that point in the season where a lot of these games don't have that many implications. So not quite to the extent of this week, but yeah, there were some really janky football games in week 17.
Steven Leibowitz, what's up, brother? Happy New Year. Said Mayo asked about Pat's quarterback, said everything's on the table. I saw that. My guess here is that it's Milton. Two reasons. One, Drake May, I'm no doctor, but that dude suffered a concussion last week.
He was unconscious.
You and I were talking about it on Twitter. Like
he gets hit, he goes limp, he drops the football. He needed help getting to the sideline.
Wobbled off the field.
He needed help getting off the field. You see him taking his helmet off and shaking his head, trying to, I know the terminology is getting the cobwebs out. There's no actual cobwebs in your head. It's just, hey, my head hurts and I'm trying to get this feeling to go away. But yeah, I mean, he went limp after getting hit in the head and dropped the football. And then all of a sudden he's just good to come back. It makes no sense. The fact that he was good to come back, which was good for my DFS lineup. So I'm not going to lie. I was happy from that standpoint. The fact that he was good to come back 30 minutes later, but he might not be able to play a week later is very bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they wouldn't play him a week later because, first of all, the seeding or the draft pick, they have the number one spot right now. But also, why would you get this guy hurt? Like with the Giants, you don't care if Drew Lock gets hurt. Like that's not really a huge deal. Another reason, Steven, that I believe that you will see Joe Milton over Drake May, it's very simple. Go look at the spread on that game. If we were expecting Drake May, the Patriots are absolutely favored in this game because Josh Allen, here's my guess on Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen plays one snap in this game. Greg, that's what I think. I think he plays one snap because they're trying to he wants to keep his consecutive start streak alive.
So if we find out, I'm going to introduce a betting angle to this. And people are asking about Portfolio EV. There is a link down below in the YouTube description box. We'll talk more about that as we go as well. We got a promo going on here it's going to end tonight at midnight. So this is just something we're doing for the new year, but 75% off with the promo code EV25. Jordan also dropped that link into the YouTube chat there. But as far as
it's the best decision you'll ever make. It's the best decision you'll ever make. $25 for the entire month. My only thing, and I told Ben this yesterday, stick with it. Stick with it for the month. Even if you start like unfortunate enough to start with like 3 bad days, stick with it. Jordan, you can put it up on the screen, the thing I sent you yesterday, Greg. I just made a graphic of my December where I started nice, like pretty nice, and then just straight nosedive. There it is. Like, see that nosedive early in December, basically back to zero. A lot of people that try out something like this will quit after that because they're like, well, I'm not making these picks on my own. They're skeptical. And I kind of sympathize with that because you might not know what you're getting into. You might not fully understand the market-based approach. But look what happens when you stick with something like you and I both went through a rough stretch in November, right? Like both of us. And if you were zoom out, it's like the stock crash, the market crash during COVID, where it just nosedived. And if you zoom out on that now, it's a blip on the radar. It's totally negligible. Except in betting, you don't have those black swan style crashes. It's just zoom out on that and you don't even notice it. So I just want to throw that out there for anyone that tries it, because I actually feel for people who might start off, like you and I have been crushing, right? Say we've been crushing and then people try it and they're like, well, why am I not crushing? They don't know that week you and I might not be, but we just don't give up on it. You just keep firing and stick with it.
Yeah, and it's same like I do the bankroll threads, which people could see. Every single thread I've done for the entire year, it's quote tweeted in like a string of posts, and not every single day is profitable. I had one stretch in November where with the thread, I think I had like 8 or 9 losing days in a row. It just kind of happens. It's variant sometimes, but I also started that thread at the start of the NBA season with a very low dollar amount, $100, and it's more than 6x at this point. It's over $600. Amazing. And the purpose is just to show people that you could start even with a pretty low dollar bankroll amount. You just follow the recommended bets and you just kind of ride it out. And at the end of the day, if you look at all of our historical results and stuff like my picket, your picket, my thread results, you're going to be expected to be pretty well up over time. Just kind of stick with it. It's like anything else, like DFS. It doesn't have quite the swings of DFS, but you're not going to win every single day, but you're going to win more often than not. And you're going to certainly win over the long haul.
Yeah, man. Links in the description. Plus, Greg's DMs and my DMs are always open on Twitter. Like if you have questions, I've been answering Portfolio EV questions all day since yesterday and this morning. I'm happy to do so. It's just a phenomenal tool. I couldn't say more about it. And for those of you guys who have enjoyed them and have profited with them, let other people know. We're not playing against each other. We're playing against the house. Links down there. Just use EV25 when you check out. That's the promo, EV25. With that link, it'll get you your first month for $25. Start with whatever bankroll you want. And the question about, is it available in Florida? It sure is. Like, can you use it? I always wonder, can you, if you have one book? Well, I interviewed Colton 2 weeks ago. Dude turned $2,500 starting bankroll into what, $14,000 profit or something in 40 days using almost exclusively Hard Rock and being limited to $50 wagers. So yeah, it's doable in Hard Rock. Plus you have Flip and some of those other spots. Anyway, check it out, or hit us up, join the Discord, say hi, and start making money, man. Just stick with it. Even if it's for a month and you don't like it, I don't see why you wouldn't. but even if it's for a month, stick with it. Stick with it. All right. Ready to dive into this? I think we've set the table enough here.
Yeah. Just one other thing I wanted to add on the Josh Allen thing before we move past it is I agree with you. I think that's a possible scenario. I don't know that books are going to post prop lines for a lot of these games. If they do happen to post Josh Allen prop lines, I think it makes a lot of sense. Same game parlay, Josh Allen unders, and you get yourself a long shot ticket on the event that he doesn't play the entire game. So you do like under passing yards, under rushing yards, just get all of that together for Josh Allen, and you'll get basically like a +5, +600 ticket or something like that on him being limited.
Love the thought process. I think there's a 0% chance these books post props for him, though.
Never know. You never know. We've seen some. They did it for. I know they ended up playing. They did do it for the Lions the other day. They ended up playing the entire game, but there was a chance the Lions weren't going to play their starters the entire 4 quarters.
McDermott said he'll play for a very, very short-lived amount of time. So I don't know. And he'll exit the game rather quickly. We'll see. But I like your thinking. What if we might be able to unearth some other spots to do that too? Like for Allen, I don't think there's going to be a shot. I think there might be some other really good opportunities to do that on a game like this. So like I'll give you an example of one, and then we'll jump into this. I promise. You know what I think would be a good one? Live unders on Baltimore if they're up by like 25 or 24 points at halftime. That to me is really interesting because they know if they get this win that they've locked up the AFC North. It's going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson and or Bailey Zappi in this game. If Baltimore goes into halftime with a massive lead, it wouldn't shock me at all if offensive starters got some rest heading into the wild card game next week.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential weird scenario. Also, it's like the Browns have actually been trying to win by putting Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. It's not their best foot forward, but what a crappy quarterback room they put together this season.
It's bad. Oh, it's bad. All right, let's build a lineup out. There's a few places we can start. I did run the Sims just to get an idea. You have to for a slate. Like you don't have to, but for the purpose of this show on a Wednesday, you kind of have to. I would say take this show more towards understanding what you're getting into this week so you can force and watch yesterday's first look show. That's going to help you a lot. So you can formulate opinions on how you think these games are going to play out because you're going to need those type of that thought process. If you don't have that thought process going into this slate, don't even bother. Don't even play it. Dan Quinn said he's going to play his starters this week. I don't know how much he is, but man, if he does and they play the full game, Jaden Daniels looks good. They're jockeying with the Packers for the 6 or 7 seed. I expect a full go from Kyler Murray in Arizona. I don't know about Anthony Richardson. If he's out, Joe Flacco clearly looks interesting against Jacksonville. And then Bo Nix in a must-win game is double-digit favorites against Kansas City's backups. There are some decent spots this week, man.
It's going. I'll say one thing as we start to build this. I'm definitely going to prioritize the spots where teams have something to play for, but I want to have my exposure spread out for this slate more than I would for other slates because I don't want to be super invested in any individual spot and then find out like, oh, this guy's only playing 1/2, and you find out at halftime of the game. I want this to be as spread out as my exposure has been the entire season.
Really?
Yeah. Also, part of this is going to be how many more games there are on the main slate than other slates. But like,
Yeah,
I can't imagine
13.
that. I can't imagine I'm going to finish my lineups being built and there's going to be like, hey, here's this running back who's in 80% of my lineups, like a Tajay Spears, or that there's going to be a QB that I'm dying to get 20+% of or anything like that. I personally didn't want to spread out my exposures.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a few spots that are like very meaningful. By the way, we just got a tweet from Jamie Robbie that said, just hit the reset button. This was in response to one of my portfolio EV tweets. Just hit the reset button and use my winnings to pay for our family vacation this summer. Appreciate all you and Greg doing for getting me going with this. Happy New Year, and let's keep it going. Or let's keep getting after it in 2025. That's all. Pay for the family vacation. Just, all right, there you go. With nothing but mindless mass entry bets. I love it. Yeah, Jaden, I could see it being spread out. I,
Yeah.
I, I do think there are some spots there that I just don't want, which is fine. I don't think you have to go crazy and try to get to every spot on this slate either. So, like Tyler Huntley, I'm probably good on that. I know he had a decent game last time out, but I'm not buying. We also have Mason Rudolph projected, but he's going to play and Will Levis is going to play. So that's a full out no for me. Um, Justin, I don't know what the Chargers do. If the Steelers win on Saturday, the Chargers are locked into the 6th seed. So maybe Jim Harbaugh would decide to give those guys a rest. That's worth keeping in mind. Who do you want to build with? What type of stack to kick this off?
All right. So let's start with a spot where we know players aren't going to rest. Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. This is just like number one spot where it's like, all right, we know the guys are playing.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do it. Bo Nix to kick it off. And I mean, you got to throw Cortland Sutton in there with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bo Nix to Cortland Sutton. This is also a slate where I very highly doubt we're going to see very many double and triple stacks. I assume you saw this too when you built lineups in the Sims Lofty. Top projected ROI lineups, they are not the double and triple stacks like they are most other slates.
I know. What was the 2 tight end looking like?
2 tight end, also almost non-existent.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Look at that.
There's just going to be so much value.
Wow. A lot of them aren't even stacked.
It's just a ton of value. Just a ton of value.
All right. So then let's go Nix plus Sutton. With that in mind, I don't even think we need to double stack here. Let's just try a Nix plus Sutton to see what happens.
Yeah, so Nix plus Sutton. There is one pay up I really, really like that I assume I'm not going to be getting a pushback on.
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, Bijan. It's very unlikely that the Falcons winning this game is going to get them into the playoffs. But if they were to win the game and if the Buccaneers end up losing, then the Falcons find themselves in the playoffs. And considering that's a possibility, they're going to be going all out for the win. And Bijan Robinson at $8,500. He is, to me, pretty clearly the best spend up running back, considering the information we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I have zero pushback on that. He's probably my favorite overall play on the slate.
It's just how many skill position pay ups are that we could feel good about. Bijan Robinson, Mike Evans.
Right, exactly.
I think that might be it.
I'm going to put Malik Neighbors, if they play everybody, I love Malik Neighbors.
But as of right now, I don't know that we could be that confident that it's going to be the case. He's been banged up. If he plays, absolutely, for sure. But as we're looking at this on Wednesday, the pay up skill position players that I am 100% positive play a full workload this weekend and are going to play, it's Mike Evans and Bijan Robinson. I don't know there's another player 8,000 plus I could say that about.
So yeah, other than Josh Jacobs, but yeah, Josh Jacobs will for sure. But he's just so far behind Bijan to me on a slate like this. I'm going to plug a defense in there, just go cheap with the Giants. I don't think Sirianni plays the starters this week. So
I tend to agree with you. I know that they've been kind of cryptic about it, but if you remember at the end of, it was the Eagles at the end of last year, they played their starters. Somebody got hurt. Was it Devonta Smith? It didn't end up being a serious injury, but it was an injury scare.
I don't know. I don't remember that being a situation.
Yeah, I remember somebody played at the end of the season, unless I'm just totally misremembering this. They got hurt, weren't able. I thought it was Devonta Smith. Got hurt, wasn't able to finish the game, ended up being questionable for the first round of the playoffs, but was able to play.
Really? And the Eagles had already locked their seed in?
I believe so.
I didn't think they played their starters in that game.
Let me go back and look.
I'm almost positive Okay, so AJ Brown had one reception. Yeah, they did for like the first half.
And it was Smith who got hurt, wasn't it?
Maybe. But I feel like that game actually had implications, but not like significant. They were down 24 nothing at halftime. So I don't know what happened there. Either way, they've locked the 2 seed up. My read here is that if they were going to try and get Barkley the record, they had 12 minutes left in the game when he hit 2,000 yards last week. Why wouldn't they have just kept feeding him against it? Dallas gave up. Dallas fully gave up. Why wouldn't they just feed him for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I just vaguely remember that being a scenario last year.
You could definitely be right. Give me, yeah, Lee Price, how he always plays the long game. He ain't playing. I don't think so either. And whenever Nick Sirianni says he's undecided on starters preseason or whenever, he never really plays them ever. So yeah, I don't see it.
Hurts got hurt last in the final game of last year. By the way, he hurt his finger.
Okay. I do remember that actually. Yeah. And then they wholesale changed the guys out. Uh, Joe Knows Best said, so would it be better to hand build this week? Well, hand building with the single lineup sim is great, but your own inputs are going to be important. That's like, I'm still going to run the sims. I'm just going to massage them. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm going to massage some of the stuff in there, to the way that I think a lot of these games play out. Kind of have to. So put the Giants defense in. That gets us 5,300 remaining. I mean, I think we try and plug Mike Evans in and see what happens.
Yep, let's go for it.
It's going to be tough.
These are the guys who I think are going to kind of be somewhat unavoidable for us at this point in the week. And
Yeah.
These are also all players that Bo Nix, Bijan Robinson, Mike Evans, like I said, at the top when we started building this lineup. I'm trying to focus right now on the players that I do know I'm going to have interest in. And these are players that I'm for sure going to be liking on Sunday.
Definitely. Can we take a look at some of these cheap wide receivers to see if we can plug one in and free up some space here?
Sure. Yeah, and cheaper wide receivers, assuming the Colts are going to be playing their normal guys here, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, they're both players who on the not like super cheap, but kind of on the lower end of the mid range that are going to stand out. I think this is a pretty good bounce back spot for Josh Downs. He was mega chalk last week. He was, I think he was like 48% owned or 46% owned in the Millie last week and absolutely shit the bed. Michael Pittman had a big game. I think that's going to cause people to not want to play Josh Downs this week. But if he's out there, I think that he's a good bounce back candidate.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Downs to bounce back in a spot like this. He's still one of their top guys. He's been the top guy all year long, really, outside of last week. That gets us 4,300. Still not a ton to work with, but at tight end, this could open some things up. This isn't going to be a McBride or Bowers lineup. You're going to have a tough time getting there. I'm going to go Chigakonkwo. I think they really want to get this guy more work, not just coach speak, but it's been evident in the target share recently. Give me a $3,800 Chigakonkwo in a good enough matchup against the Houston Texans, who, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans, I could see this happening. So D'Amico Ryans plays the starters in the first half and then backups in the second half if the starters play well enough in the first half. They're sleepwalking into the postseason. He's not happy with their performance. They got shit on Christmas Day on national television by the Ravens. I could see him being like, all right, let's see what we got. If they come out strong in the first half, I could see Will Levis or Rudolph or whoever it is getting the backup defense in the second half. Wouldn't surprise me at all because, mind you, the Texans have already had the 4 seed locked up for like 3 weeks almost. Maybe not technically, but there was basically no way they could move. So if I throw Chig in there, that's 4,600 per the last 2 players. What can we do with this?
So tight end, Chigakonkwo. I mean, there's been no Titans games that have mattered probably for like 4 years now or something like that. So Chigakonkwo, if the Titans haven't been resting guys at this point, Chig should be out there, no issue. My favorite overall tight end is going to be Brock Bowers for the slate, and I do think that the Raiders are probably going to want to try to stack upon that rookie tight end receiving record.
But there's no way
But
we get to him on this lineup.
yeah, probably not. But yeah, Chig, I don't have any kind of issue with at all there. So Chig at 3,800 gives us is it 4,600?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Dowdle, is the answer. And then we just full punt the flex spot.
Well, if we go to let's just plug a really cheap wide receiver in to the flex and then just see what we have left at running back.
It's going to be that range.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could go, here are the ones that showed up in the Sims, which I think is a pretty good baseline for who we would potentially want to plug in here. There's Curtis Samuel, who's $3,100. And we also have Mecole Hardman at 3K, if we're assuming that the Chiefs are going to be sitting guys, which I'm kind of most inclined to answer Hardman just because it gives us a little bit of correlation with him being in a run back in the Broncos lineup.
I'm fine with that. I hate the matchup, but I think it makes a lot of sense that Hardman could be out. Like, it'd be crazy to me if they decided to play Hopkins, or like Worthy or Kelsey
or Hollywood Brown.
Definitely Hollywood Brown. Good call. Yeah. Wait, how much is Juju? Projections can change, but he's 3,700. Juju, just to keep in mind, could be a very interesting one, I think, going into this week. Because I'm not convinced they just sit all of the starters. It's probably their key guys.
Actually, Hardman might be out this week. Yeah, Hardman's not going to play. So nix that. Let's take Hardman out of the equation.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not happening. Again, forgive us for some of the, rough projections on Wednesday. We're just trying to get something up, that's going to be, so plug you know what? Think of it this way. Plug Curtis Samuel in here. He projects best right now. Just use him as a placeholder for whatever good value pops up, because all we're trying to do is build see what the builds look like. It doesn't even matter who it is down here.
Fair enough. That's a good point. But yeah, I was just looking at our projections and Mecole Hardman looked good. And then I realized like, oh no, he's actually on the IR. And I think he might not even return this season, but either way, it's all stuff that's going to be updated. A little bit of an odd look at first stuff, but good point. Yeah, let's just go Curtis Samuel as a placeholder. We know he's going to be playing. And then that gives us, what's that salary left there at 60, running back?
61. I think he is, and we could do that just because, but that projection's coming down throughout the week if Will Shipley's back. I just have zero doubt in my mind. I like Dowdle here.
Okay, we could go to Dowdle. I tend to think Tajay Spears isn't going to play.
Yeah, I think they said Callahan did not express optimism that he's going to play. So you're right.
We very rarely see players come back from a concussion 1 week, and why do it at this point in the season?
Right. Yeah. Why rush him back in a meaningless game? I actually really like that lineup though, Greg. I mean, we managed to get Nix, Bijan, Dowdle, who's getting 20 plus touches every game, Sutton, Mike Evans, Josh Downs, Chig, who's been getting massive workload, and then a punt running or wide receiver at flex. I love that.
Yeah. I think that this is a lineup that I would, some of the like Curtis Samuel might not be the punt wide receiver, but this is more or less the framework of what I think a lot of my lineups will probably end up looking like on Sunday.
Robert Griffin III said Jordan Whittington, the best 3K play. Maybe, it's weird because Sean McVay hasn't said anything. Here's another odd situation for you as far as the playoff seeding is concerned. They could get the 3 seed, or they could get the 4 seed. So I don't actually know here. I think McVay, knowing his history, would lean towards not playing the starters. Oh, here you go. Sean McVay gives clear indication of whether Rams will rest starters in week 18. Let's see.
Also, keep in mind, coaches are liars. I mean, the
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo thing was so egregious last week.
Oh, it was terrible. But I tend to I don't trust McVay, but if McVay gives us an indication of what he's doing with starters, he's usually been pretty, you know, pretty straightforward with that. Let's see. Uh,
While
okay.
you're looking that out, shout out to SC, gifted out 10 memberships in the YouTube there. So SC, thank you for supporting the channel and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year and thanks, man. All right, here we go. This is how McVay's always spoke in the preseason as well. You don't minimize the importance of every single game, but relative to what's at risk, what's at reward in terms of either or, and being able to maybe get some guys that are, the toll that a season takes, get them back, refreshed, rejuvenated. Typically, we've erred on the side of leaning, God, this guy speaks in riddles, of leaning a little bit more towards that. And I would imagine as we continue to finalize our plans, that's probably the direction we go. Okay, so that suggests that starters will not be playing for the Rams.
Yeah.
And then it's
if that's
probably
how...
Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right. Yeah. If that's how we're going to dissect those Riddler-esque quotes.
No, hold on. Yeah, I hear you. But listen, this is the spot. This is the part. I've done so many preseason videos that I can like Unabomber, decoding the Unabomber cipher. It was, or not the Unabomber. Who was the other one? Who was the one? Someone will tell me. The something killer. Whatever. He had the cipher that they was just decoded like, yeah, like a few years ago. It was just decoded. Yeah. The Zodiac Killer.
Oh,
there
okay.
you go.
Yeah. Zodiac Killer.
He goes, we've always erred on, leaning towards a little bit more towards that. And if that's what we're saying, like he's saying, you don't minimize the importance. We're going to try to win. Yeah. Yeah. He's not playing as starters.
Also, what's
answer.
The reason for giving? Why not just tell people the information? Like, why do you have to show up and be like, riddle me this, and then give this whole? Just tell us who's playing and why or why not.
Tell me about it, man. I know.
I don't. Well, and this is an NBA thing. It's NFL thing. This is all sports. Coaches make it out to be rocket science. Who's going to throw a football? Who's going to shoot it? It's not that big of a deal. Just tell us who's playing.
Yeah, you're damn right. But yeah, then Whittington, sure. McDonald wants to win for Seattle. Gino gets a big incentive, monetary incentive if they get 10 wins. McDonald, as a first-year head coach, wants 10 wins. So I actually kind of like the Seahawks this week quite a bit, but that's not baked into the projections yet. Sure, Whittington could actually be a pretty decent play this week. I hear you.
Yeah, there was one slate where Whittington was like 40% on, played 8 snaps.
Oh, I remember.
This is it's time. It's time for him to return.
By the way, that lineup simmed out really well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think what was the number 155.6 or something.
Yep. Jordan, did you run it on? Would you run it on? Large field. Man, you're struggling today, huh?
He's also I'll be honest, there's certain times I don't know if the audience could hear Jordan, who bless Jordan. He had a good New Year's last night, but now it's a few hours later. He's feeling it in the morning. There's a couple of times that he has said something to us on mic, and I have not understood what he said at all.
All right.
It's like coach speak, but producer speak.
Yeah. This show's so good, we should run it another hour. I'm just kidding, Jordan. We wouldn't do that to you.
I swear to God.
If we go another hour, we have to have a producer cam of Jordan.
Oh yeah, it'd be the best.
Vomiting in the bathtub.
It'd be the best. Here's what I want to do, Jordan. I want to change all of the projections for the Rams starters, and I want to start building lineups out with Rams backups and just see how. Yeah. No. All right, let's do this because there's still some spots we don't know much about. So I have two ideas in mind, really three or even four. We could go Flacco stack, assuming we get no Richardson. You could go for what it's worth, like Drew Lock neighbors. If we get Eagles backups, would be very interesting. Not even chasing last week. It's just you've got this team against backups possibly. We could go Jaden Daniels here. Um, Brock Purdy's not going to play, by the way. You could go uh Geno Smith. Man, oh, and you could go Baker against the Saints if you wanted to do that too. So I'm fine. You let me know where you want to go. I think there's a lot of different builds we could make look really good.
All right. So we did the lineup just now with Bo Nix, and that one came out pretty good. Let's look. Let's survey the field. And I don't mind the Flacco suggestion. What is the price point? We could do a. That'd be not what I was going to say. I'm surprised Penix is coming out with such low ownership, but why would I put any weight into this on Wednesday at this point anyway? But Falcons lineups, I think that's another reasonable team to be stacking. Michael Penix, his numbers have not been good through the first couple of starts, and there's been some like crazy overreactions to how good he has been to this point. But there's very clearly talent there and an upside.
There is. I don't want any of it this week, but I get it. Ben mentioned Penix as well yesterday, so you guys are on the same page. I mean, sure, it'd be a crazy good pivot off of Penix or off of Bijan, but um, I would think they just run Bijan a ton in this game.
I mean, they could you could play lineups with both of them. I think that's completely viable.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, you go London, Bijan, Penix. It's not even that expensive.
It's not. Why? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Fair enough. London. Okay. We could try this one with Bowers or McBride.
Also, an update from Jordan here because he put it in the YouTube chat. This is unlike anything I've ever seen from him. He's down so bad right now he can't put a zin in his mouth. This is the worst Jordan's ever been doing.
The worst he's ever been was after the Christmas stream a few years ago, but this might be a close second. Let's try one with Bowers and McBride and see how the build actually looks. I like McBride more. The projections like Bowers. I know you like Bowers, so we can go Bowers there. I'll throw Giants defense in again just to open it up. 5,100 per player remaining. Not a lot there to actually work with if you wanted to go Bowers. That's 5,150 per player over the remaining 4 players that we've got.
Okay. All right.
And that's Penix, Bijan, London, Bowers, and Giants.
Okay. Oh, you know somebody else who I'm going to like quite a bit for the slate as well as Bucky Irving at $7,700.
Oh yeah, I like Bucky Irving quite a bit in this spot. If you wanted to, we could try it. Play Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
And then go to Curtis Samuel. Again, Samuel's just a placeholder. We're very simply going to have some discounted wide receivers. So just use him as a placeholder there. That gets us 4,900. I think at this point, I'll throw Josh Downs back in.
Okay.
Right? Like if you wanted to do Pittman, that's fine too. But Downs these guys have a great matchup. Then we have 4,500 per player. That's a weird zone or weird range.
Put a Bucky Irving in as well, Jordan.
Very weird range.
Yeah. Don't worry, Jordan. Only 7 minutes left. Let's see. So now we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think throwing Wicks in there would probably just be the answer, assuming Christian Watson doesn't play.
I'm good with that. And then just around min price for this final spot. Who else? Who else is reasonable at wide receiver? Who projects best that isn't Mecole Hardman here, Jordan, for flex?
I already threw Samuel in. Wait, hold on a second. Don't we already have Wicks and Curtis Samuel in?
Yeah, just put Curtis Samuel in, Jordan.
I mentioned it. You weren't listening. Curtis Samuel was one of them, brother. That should Jordan. We should have
has 30 people in it.
Yeah, we should have $100 remaining. All right.
103. All right. Not bad.
Yeah, if you want to pay up at tight end this week, it's really not tough to do. I think you can pay down at tight end as well if you wanted to. FanDuel lineup before we go.
Out of sympathy for Jordan, I'm okay with us not building out one more lineup.
I say we fucking do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's
all
do
right,
it.
all right. Jordan insists. Jordan wants to build a FanDuel lineup. I was trying to throw him a bone, but Jordan goes, no.
I love our producer Jordan Klein, but he has put himself in this situation, and this show is for the people watching it. Come on, Greg.
This is not incorrect. I would be lying if I said I didn't feel terrible right now, though.
By the way, shout out to Jordan for saying let's do it. The man doesn't feel great. It's New Year's Day, but he still says let's do it. So yeah, that's the way it goes. All right. Let's do this. I haven't looked at FanDuel. How easy is it to build on I assume it's easy. And oh damn, I didn't even think about it. They have the Vikings Lions game in here.
Yeah. So what I want to do for FanDuel is a stack of Vikings Lions and then just fill in the lineup with cheap value options that are viable on the slate. Because I think that's a fun way to play the FanDuel slate and a good way to build high upside lineups.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Let's go Darnold.
Yeah. Darnold, Jefferson.
I mean, well, let's see if we can do Darnold, Jefferson, Addison, Gibbs or something. Listen, that Lions defense, those that has been gutted by injuries, that was evident last week or on Monday. That was very evident.
If the Lions lose this game and they're the 5 seed, it is just such an injustice with how the seeding works.
Tell me, man. Tell me about it. I especially with how good of a season, but also how much like media hype they've gotten, deservedly so. And I think people would be equally shocked that the Vikings got it because nobody talks about the Vikings in the same way they talk about the Lions, except they have the same record, you know?
Not only would it be unfair to either of these teams, which is going to happen. So not only would it be massively unfair to the Lions to be the 5 seed, how much does it suck to have to play the Lions in the first round of the playoffs? Like, hey, you had a great regular season. You're a top seed in the NFC. Here's the Lions in the first round of the playoffs. That sucks too.
Yeah, it's like in the NBA, you see it where, you know, a star player is hurt for a lot of the year and they limp into the playoffs. And then like the 2 seed or the 1 seed has to play an elite 8 seed.
Yeah. That's, I mean, to me, the NBA's worst nightmare is the 76ers getting into the playoffs and going on a playoff run.
Why is it their worst nightmare?
Because the 76ers are resting guys strictly for the playoffs throughout the regular season. Then the NBA is really going to have to address, all right, what do we do about these rest scenarios? Because now people are going to look, hey, proof of concept, you could rest guys throughout the entirety of the regular season.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. All right, so I'm trying it, Greg. Why not? It's New Year's Day. Jordan's puking in a trash can next to his desk. Darnold, Jordan, ready? Oh, you already got. I mean, you're doing your job, brother. Darnold, Gibbs, Jefferson, Addison, Giants defense. Now, if we think it's necessary, Greg, we could go from Addison down to Hawkinson. That would save us $1,100.
I don't hate that at all. First of all, Hawkinson's one of my favorite tight end options that we have on
Let's
FanDuel.
do that then. Let's do that. I think we're probably going to need the additional salary.
Wait, what did you just say?
We're gonna switch out Addison for Hawkinson.
Okay, perfect.
Any cheap running back? We might get Michael Carter again this week. He's 5,800.
We could plug in Gainwell at $5,600 for now, and then we could always change that. If it was to be something like you had said, where Shipley ends up being the guy, you could go to Blackshear at $5,100 with Chuba Hubbard out.
Let's just try Gainwell.
Okay, let's go Gainwell at 56.
I bet if we wanted to follow the Curtis Samuel approach, actually, let's see what's. No, never mind. He's 53. That's insane.
We could instead plug in. So what do we have? We got 2 spots left. We have 3 spots left. $6,300 per spot. Let's see who is. You don't even have to go that cheap, to be honest.
You're probably right.
We could go Thielen at 6,400. I like Thielen.
I mean, I think at 6K, we have to plug Josh Downs in. I think we have to.
We could go Downs at 6K. We could go Thielen at 6,400, and then just see who fits in for the
That works
flex.
for me. Jalen McMillan's a nice play this week at 61. Throw Thielen in alongside Josh Downs. And then we have 6,500. Oh, if you want, we could go Jamison Williams here.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go Williams as well.
And for what it's worth, guys, I do like, in a vacuum, I like Tyrone Tracy at 6,400 better. I actually like him a lot this week, assuming Philly does what I think they're going to do. Tyrone Tracy at 6,400 on FanDuel, Greg, would be a fantastic play.
There we go. Nearly a 200% sim ROI.
Wow, look at that. Man, you can build out full game stacks for Sunday night on FanDuel easily.
And it's going to get easier. It's going to get easier by Sunday as well.
Way easier. You may be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of Jameson by the time this slate starts. That's crazy. All right. Hey, for all you guys watching, number 1, Happy New Year. Number 2, the Portfolio EV promo. We talked about it at the top of the show. Go back and rewatch it if you jumped in late. I'm telling you, it's going to be well worth it. Start your year off with a bit of a gift to yourself, genuinely, which will ultimately turn into a gift for your family, or you can keep it for yourself and not tell them a thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it's 75% off. That's $25 for the month. This tool is worth a whole lot more than $100 a month. I mean, it simply is. It's the best tool out there for betting. If you want to jump in, the link's in the description. It's also, Jordan threw it in the chat again. It expires tonight at midnight. Or I would guess you would say it expires tonight at 11:59:59, and then it's over. So if you've been on the fence thinking about jumping in, go for it. And if you want any of the tools that we have over at Stokastic, let's say someone asked me about this yesterday. It was really cool, Greg. I know we're going to get out of here, but he hit me up and he's like, "Listen, I'm a trucker. Will this work for me?" I'm like, brother, that's probably I couldn't ask for a better situation. So you're telling me, depending on what state you're in, you have access throughout the day, you have access to all different sports books. That's incredible. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in North Carolina right now." I was like, "Well, get going." So he just signed up for a bunch there. And what he did was he took advantage of the $25 promo for Portfolio EV. And then he went in the link from the First Look show yesterday. The same link is here. And he signed up on all of the sports books to get multiple free months of core for Stokastic.
It's a good deal.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you're checking it out and you're not on those sports books yet, because you want to be on a lot of sports books, use the link down there to get the free months of our DFS product, the Sims, the single lineup sim. It's $100 value a month. And as many as you sign up on, that equals a free month every single time. So Yeah, man. Lots of different ways to do it. It's down there. Just follow the 4 simple steps, click claim offer, and you're on your way. Thanks for being with us today, guys. Hopefully you had a great night. Welcome to 2025. Can't wait to see what happens next. Anything else before we go?
No, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys back here tomorrow.
Jordan, thanks, brother. Bye-bye.